Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle a really core concept in artificial intelligence, one that lets AI agents learn, well, dramatically faster. We're talking about models and planning.
Okay, let's just dive right in. So we've got this fundamental problem in reinforcement learning, right? Learning purely from trial and error in the real world can take an incredibly long time. You've got an agent that has to interact with its environment, try stuff, fail a bunch, and just slowly, and I mean really slowly, figure out what actually works. Now, it's amazing because it requires zero prior knowledge, but boy, is it inefficient.
I want you to think about it this way. An agent learning in the real world gets one shot per action. If it makes a mistake, that's it. Game over for that attempt. It's got to try something else. But what if it could practice that same action 1,000 times in its own imagination? See, that's the huge difference here. Real experience is the ultimate teacher, for sure, but having an internal map of the world, that allows for super fast, super cheap, and totally safe practice.
All right, to make this all feel really intuitive, let's use a simple analogy that pretty much everyone can get behind. Planning a big cross-country road trip.
And this right here, this is the whole game. Without a model, the agent is basically just driving blind, hoping it stumbles upon the right turns to get to its destination. But with a model, the agent has a map of its world. It lets the agent think ahead, to actually consider the consequences of its actions, and to come up with a real strategy before it even puts the key in the ignition. It's the difference between just reacting and actually planning.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting, how this whole thing breaks down. Let's look at the three simple components. Think of them as the map, the plan, and the actual drive. Okay, first up, we have the model. Now, this is the agent's internal understanding of how its world works. In our road trip analogy, it's just the map, plain and simple. It tells you, hey, if I'm in Chicago and I start driving east, I'm probably going to end up in Indiana, and it'll take about this much time and this much gas. It's all about predicting the outcome of an action.
Next, there's planning. This is the process of actually using that map. It's you sitting at your kitchen table with a coffee, tracing all the potential routes on the map to find the absolute best one. You're having all these little simulated experiences without ever leaving your house. In the AI world, this is where the agent uses its model to spin up thousands of hypothetical scenarios to figure out the best way forward.
And finally, of course, there's learning from real experience. This is when the rubber meets the road, literally. You get in the car and you start driving, and you might discover, whoa, my map's a little out of date. This road is closed for construction. This real-world feedback is absolutely crucial for updating and correcting that internal map you've got.
So the most important part is how these three pieces, the model, the planning, and the learning, all connect to create this really powerful and super efficient learning cycle.
This is where the magic happens, in systems like what's called the Dyna architecture. So you act in the world based on the best route you've planned out. Then, you learn from what actually happens on the road. You take that new info and you update your internal map. And then, and this is the key part, you use that better, more accurate map to plan all over again, running thousands of new mental simulations. This whole cycle lets the agent get way, way smarter with every single real-world step it takes.
And that's the core idea. By mixing real and simulated experience, these model-based agents get the absolute most of every interaction. They don't just learn from what they do, they learn from what they think about doing. And that, right there, is why they can be so much more efficient with data than methods that just rely on pure trial and error.
So after all that, if you're going to walk away remembering just one thing about models and planning, what should it be?
It's this. Planning is really just a form of structured daydreaming. Yeah, that's it. It's the agent's ability to use its internal map of the world to explore what could happen, which lets it squeeze every last drop of knowledge out of its real experiences to make smarter decisions, way, way faster.
Now, this all works beautifully when the model of the world, the map, is accurate. But that leads to a really fascinating final question for you to chew on. What should an agent do when its map doesn't match the territory? How does it handle an incorrect model? And how does it even know when to go out and explore to fix it? That's honestly one of the biggest challenges in the field, and a topic for another day. I'll leave you with that to think about.